Hello.
Hello there, fellow adventurers. A long time ago, one of my subscribers, Avalon Monk, requested that I review Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth. Well, after playing the game, which took me about 20 hours to finish, I decided to read the novel as well. Over 1,000 pages later, I thought I was totally prepared, but then found out there's also a mini-series. Another 8 hours later and I was finally ready to make this video. After my last adventure traveling around Munich to find the real-life locations used in Gabriel Knight 2 The Beast Within, I thought it would be perfect to visit Salisbury Cathedral, which is the inspiration for Kingsbridge Cathedral in the story. Unfortunately, I'm not in England right now, but with the magic of green screen I can travel there without leaving the house. The Pillars of the Earth was developed by German company Daedalic Entertainment, whose other games include the Deponia series and the Whispered World. In the prologue we play as Tom Builder, who, as his name suggests, is a master builder. Our first task is to make a fire.
What's the matter? Just use the Flintstones, Tom.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the modern Stone Age family.
From this opening scene we get a sense of the kind of game we're getting into. Not only do we have to learn to survive in the freezing cold, our wife suddenly goes into labour. Of course, the best thing to do in this situation is to tell her a story.
Remember when Martha was born and the Lady Isabella acted as midwife?
Oh yeah, I remember. That was a fun time. Now will you please help me? I'm having a baby here. Sadly, no matter what you do, your wife dies in childbirth. Then we see a silhouette of a sword and someone hang from a gallows, and the opening credits roll. Something tells me this game isn't going to be quite as funny as Toonstruck.
Bippity bip bip bippity ba! Bip boop bip boop bippity ba!
The year of our Lord 1135 had come to an end.
Ya da da da, diddly da, ya da diddly diddly da.
It was a time of poverty and death.
Skiddly diddly dippity doo!
And so Book 1 starts on a bit of a downer. This time we play as Prior Phillip. Armed with his trusty Bible, Phillip can use it to reflect on things he encounters on his travels.
Enter by the narrow gate. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life.
This feature adds an extra spiritual dimension to gameplay.
And he said to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven.
In this first chapter we explore Kingsbridge Cathedral, which has fallen into a state of disrepair, and according to one of the monks there's even zombies rising from the grave.
It's probably those badgers, always digging up the graves.
Yeah, those pesky badgers, digging up all the graves and unleashing all the zombies. The chapter leads up to a meeting of the monks to decide whether to make Phillip the new prior of Kingsbridge.
I nominate Phillip of Gwynedd to be the new prior of Kingsbridge.
I can't disagree with that.
Well, yes, obviously, my choice.
Excellent choice.
Yes, indeed, Phillip should be the new prior. Yes, okay. This is where your actions can determine to a certain extent the course of the story. For example, if you gave a hot stone to one of the monks to relieve the pain in his foot, your good deed will then be rewarded when he speaks up for you at the meeting.
He brought me a hot stone.
That's our Phillip.
That's our Phillip, always giving hot stones to anyone who needs them. In Chapter 2, the story switches to Jack, a young boy who lives in the forest with his mother Ellen. Here we see a peaceful scene with Jack living in harmony with nature. Oh dear. This is an example of how to perform actions by clicking the mouse when the pointer is within the green areas. It's a similar mechanic to another game I'm reviewing called Esselmere and the 5 Magical Gifts. As fate would have it, Jack leaves the forest where he's lived all of his life and ends up at Earl's Castle, the home of the Princess Aliena.
Where did you come from then?
From my mother. All young things come from their mothers. What have fathers got to do with it?
I think you should have a word with your mother.
Alright, let's go ask our mother about this.
Babies grow from a seed. The seed comes out of a man's prick and is planted in a woman's...
Whoa, 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 this is too much information. Let's talk about something else.
What colour is your shite, boy?
I'm not really sure this is much better. We're also introduced to some of the other main characters in the story. There's William Hamley, who can only be described as a knob.
Watch your step, you little twit.
And the bishop with the greatest name for a bishop I've ever heard.
The Right Reverend Bishop Whaler in Bygod.
In the film adaptation, Whaler in Bygod is played to perfection by Ian McShane, who brilliantly portrays the bishop's cunning personality as well as his bondage fetish. We don't get to see this in the game, so if you're looking for bondage, I suggest playing Phantasmagoria 2.
Teresa, please, I want to touch you.
I said be quiet, slave.
Unfortunately, the bishop is not a playable character, and we switch back and forth between Tom, Phillip, Jack, and Aliena. I love how they all cross paths throughout the game, and we revisit the same scene later on with different characters. Jack eventually finds himself at Kingsbridge Cathedral, and we get to see it from his perspective, which is very different from Phillip's. He doesn't understand what the gravestones are for, and has no concept of God or the afterlife like the monks do. Jack plays a pivotal role in one of the most memorable events in the story. If you don't like spoilers, now is the time to cover your ears. Jack burns down the cathedral, and Prior Phillip hires Tom Builder to rebuild it. Here we can see his plans for the new cathedral, which was a mystery at the time to those not familiar with architecture.
Is this how birds would see our church?
Exactly.
And so, Book 1 ends with the prospect of a new beginning, but also an ominous threat.
My bishop, William Hamley, has returned to see you.
Send him in, Timothy. We have much to discuss.
In Book 2, we play more as Aliena, who learns the art of being a wool merchant with some help from a familiar prior.
You are the Lady Aliena of Shiring, are you not?
Yes, I am.
My name is Phillip of Gwynedd. I am the Prior of Kingsbridge.
That's our Phillip! William Hamley, though, is always lurking in the background, planning how to ruin everyone's good time. The thing that William is most afraid of is the fires of hell. The book explains exactly where this fear comes from. His mother had given him nightmares when he was small by telling him what the devils did to people in hell, burning them in the flames and poking their eyes out, and cutting off their private parts with sharp knives. And ever since then, he hated to hear talk of it. Well, judging by his actions, I think hell is a distinct possibility.
My God, please. Shh. Don't.
This story is not just filled with violence and tragedy, there is also hope and love, most notably in the romance between Jack and Aliena.
My lady.
You dangerous, feral beast from the woods.
God hates me for that. He has a strange way of showing it.
Speaking of beasts, one of the most memorable moments for me is when Prior Phillip witnesses the terrible beast that lives within man.
Where are the women?
I wish there were more moments like this where we see visions of otherworldly creatures, but it's something that always lurks beneath the surface of reality. There's also a gratuitous amount of sex and violence that was cut from the game, so if you're looking for something more explicit, I recommend Phantasmagoria 2. The soundtrack, composed by Tilo Alperman, is suitably epic. The voice acting is also excellent, and even the author Ken Follett himself plays the role of the Cantor.
Brother Phillip, please help me. Prove to them that there is nothing and no one down there.
There's a colourful cast of extras including potters,
Oh, no! It's all broken!
whores,
Like what you see, handsome.
and angry workers.
You think I want to shit for half a day? You think that? Well, you better think again!
My favourite aspect of the game is the various ways in which you can react to a situation and how your decisions can affect the story. Each chapter ends with a list of what you did. So as you can see in this chapter, we finished book 1 and chose an image of Judgment Day for the new cathedral's tympanum.
Tympanum.
There are many different dialogue options to choose from, but you need to decide before the timer runs out. Or if you wish, you can just stay silent. Some choices are more significant than others. For example, as Aliena, you can decide what animal to put on your family's banner, though as far as I know, this has no effect on the story.
You hear that, Alfred? I'm a bear. Rawr. You hear that, Alfred? I'm a lion. Rawr.
So I guess in those days, a bear and a lion sounded exactly the same. There's one major event which I won't reveal because it's way too spoilery, and I'm sure the spoiler police would kill me, but you can actually determine whether someone lives or dies. This is obviously more critical than what animal you put on the banner.
You hear that, Alfred? I'm an eagle.
I came across a few glitches that didn't affect gameplay at all, but were good for a laugh, and even a weird voice recording that's obviously not part of the script.
I need new laptop. I need new laptop.
I didn't know they had laptops in those days. I'm skipping over a lot of the story, but in the third book your adventure takes you from England to France and Spain, following the pilgrim road to Santiago de Compostela and all the way to Toledo. We get to see our characters grow up alongside the building of Kingsbridge Cathedral, and like the cathedral there are times when their lives are in danger of crashing down, but after tragedy comes a new hope and rebuilding what was destroyed. So what happens to them in the end? Do Jack and Aliena live happily ever after? Does William Hamley burn in the fires of hell? How long does Bishop Whaler and Bygod stare into the fireplace? And do the angry workers ever stop arguing?
Get back to work! Never! And stop yelling! Never!
Well, for the answers to these and many other questions, play The Pillars of the Earth to find out. Or read the book. Or watch the mini-series. Or play the card game. 7 rubber chickens with pulleys in the middle. That's our Phillip, always giving... That's our Phillip, always giving hot stones to anyone who needs them. That's our Phillip, always giving...